Oh, there we are. We are live. It is September 12th. Folks, welcome to the Ask Me Anything call. There we are. I feel so good getting back on here and making sure that I hit the right buttons. So here's the deal. My name is Kurt Von Onen. I'm here with Magic Emily Middleton. We are here for the next hour or so to answer your questions specifically about LifterLMS, but we also are very much aware of the idea that LifterLMS works in the WordPress environment, and some of these questions might be WordPress oriented as well. We'll do our best to help you. The best way to get that help is to jump into the comments of wherever you are right now and simply just put the questions into chat. We will do our best to get through the questions as they come in through chat. If we run out of questions in chat, we have questions that people have submitted before the call when they can register for the call. So sometimes we can dive into those and we can answer some of those questions as well. So again, if you're here, if you're watching us live, feel free to go ahead and put your questions into the chat. The other thing that we need to cover before we go into actual content is the idea that if you've come to this call, you are now eligible for a 55% discount. How do you get a discount, you ask? You go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And that'll lead you through the process of getting a 55% discount on something that you might purchase during or after this call. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to Emily. Emily, how you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. Let me think about, what have I been doing? I've been doing some customizations to LifterLMS. I realized there's no LifterLMS certificate shortcode. There's a lot of shortcodes LifterLMS has to offer, but there's not one for certificates that I was able to find. So I custom coded one of those for a client and had been working a lot with engagements this week. That's what I've been up to.
Sweet. I don't know if you really are aware, but I launched a thing called scornpress.com, and I've been focusing on helping enterprise larger companies find the benefits of moving their SCORM content from a purpose-built SCORM-oriented website to WordPress and using LifterLMS to power that content. And I've had 3 leads this week. 3 leads led to 2 sales calls, and 2 sales calls led to 100% closing. So 2 new clients this week, just based on that niche alone. So from an agency standpoint, that's just another kind of like feather in the cap of LifterLMS, right? You and I both have agencies. We both work with LifterLMS as a predominant tool in our tech stack. And of course, we support Lifter with these live calls. To some extent, I think maybe that creates an advantage for us in that space. But I'm really quick to point out that, at least I feel this way, I'm pretty sure you do too, we just want to help people in general find success with the platform. And I don't ever think that somebody's taking my piece of the pie. We just bake more pie. The internet's a huge place, and there's plenty of work for all of us. And it's really fun for me when you kind of play with your marketing a little bit. You go, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna try and focus on this niche for a little while. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, boom, boom. You're like, we got a winner. Because I've niched down before and lost, right? But I think that's part of the key of being an entrepreneur is being willing to fail, right? John Maxwell has that book called Failing Forward, right? So it's like being willing to fail and then analyze the failure and go, how can I tweak it into a success? And that's just one of the things. It's been a really good week in that regard. Should we dive into some? It looks like we got a couple of comments already. Welcome Daria to the call. Daria, she's even got a profile picture. Nice. There we go. Daria's got a question here. Says, hello, I've been using the free version of LifterLMS plugin on the website and I've already created some lessons. Awesome. You find the course builder, you start putting things together and things just kind of stitch up, right? So it says, I'm considering purchasing a plan. Well, I need to start over with my lessons. She follows up by saying, or will they be saved when I upgrade? Thanks for your help. Best regards. Daria, this is one of the things that I absolutely love about LifterLMS. When I first joined LifterLMS as a customer, I can't remember if it's 9 years ago or 10 years ago at this point, Emily. Anyway, been with Lifter for a long time. I like to adopt things fairly early in their life cycles, and then I'm pretty loyal to things as they develop. One of the things that confused the wheels off of me, and I'm just going to be honest about this, LifterLMS has a series of add-ons, and so when I went to the Infinity bundle and I saw all the crud that I could add to my site, I just started adding all these plugins in, and I had that same kind of consternation. It was like, am I going to overwrite something? Am I going to damage something? Am I going to ruin something by adding all these tools? Or once I added all that stuff, realized I don't use any of this stuff. Deleting those tools out, to make my site more appropriate for my audience. And here's the cool part with LifterLMS, it all works seamlessly. You can upgrade and downgrade your site, and you won't lose data, you won't lose content. You can just, it all works seamlessly. So if you're on the free plan and you go, oh, I'm going to jump up to the Universe bundle, you grab the Universe bundle, you put your license in your site, and then you can add the features from the Universe bundle that you want to use, and all of the content that you've put in previously under the free plugin, all of that's going to stay in place. You're not going to lose anything, which is really cool. The other thing to cover, just as an extension of this question, is let's say I experiment with LifterLMS as the free version in some sample website of mine, and now I want to make a purpose-built website to focus on a subject that I've already made a course for. You don't have to remake or copy and paste that whole course into the second website. You can literally export that course, import it to the new site, and you're off to the races. So Lifter is super, super flexible in those types of ways. Anything to add to that, Emily?
I think probably, yeah, that covers most of it. Really, payment gateways are the only thing that I really consider upgrading to before like upgrading to anything else. Getting those automatic payments so they're not inconvenient to process payments and have people enrolled, create a seamless experience is the first place to upgrade. So Earth Bundle.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. The payment gateway thing to me, I have had recently a couple of people send me like a series of questions. And the series of questions was really about leveraging all these tools to get away from not having to pay for the payment gateway, right? Well, if I do Paid Memberships Pro and I do this and I do that and I link this and I automate the other thing, and I was like, oh my goodness, by the time you figure that out and put that in place and maintain that over the future of your configuration, it would have been so much easier to pay the $150 and have the payment gateway. There really is that question of diminishing returns sometimes when we try to get around something, and sometimes you realize software really is cheap. I mentioned the Infinity bundle, and some people might go, oh, it must be nice to have the Infinity bundle. My background in e-learning, right? So if we think about LifterLMS and online courses as being e-learning, my background in e-learning comes from the corporate space, where I'm used to companies paying $150, $250, sometimes up to $500,000 a year for an e-learning website that, in retrospect, doesn't even do what a WordPress site with an LMS in it can do. And so when I am used to working with budgets of multiple six figures, when I come back to WordPress and I go, WordPress is open source, it's free, I can host it for $20 a month, $30 a month, whatever hosting I pick, and load in a tool like LifterLMS at the Infinity level, which its normal price is around $1,500. That to me is super, super affordable software. When you look at how much does Microsoft Office cost, how much does something else cost, you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, yeah, $1,500 and I can do all of these things. That's not that much money. I realize to some people in their place at the moment, it can seem like a lot of money. But when you look at the free plugin and how you can get started and start delivering product to people as a minimal viable product, grow your presence, do your proof of concept, and then monetize it when it's ready, there's a lot of opportunity there for growth. And I think the system from LifterLMS gives you an excellent way to stair step your way up if you're at that limited budget range. I kind of went crazy on that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of a lot of different ways you can get people into your program. I think the main thing is just finding a way to get people into your program, having that offer available, and then seeing if you can optimize that offer by just creating offers, creating landing pages and lead magnets, and seeing what kind of opt-ins you can get and what kind of traffic you can get to content. I just would try to emphasize, don't have as little barriers as possible between you and a setup product as possible. Like, I'm setting up products right now. It feels so bad because they're incomplete. Like, they're courses on my website that are just course outlines. The videos haven't been recorded yet. There's no content. There's no infographics. It's just a syllabus. And I'm already selling this as a part of my membership. And I feel a little bad because I'm like, oh, well, I haven't created this product yet. I haven't gotten it perfect yet. But I think that that's necessary to put a little bit of a fire under me and also create a just kind of a product I can work with and edit until it's good enough instead of trying to make it good enough before launching.
Well, and the tools, right? So you can pre-sell a course in LifterLMS by postponing the release date of the course. You could have the course page and the syllabus up, but people can't access it until you release it, right? So it has a release date. You can do that. You can have enrollment periods where people can enroll, but not necessarily access the course. And so let's say you're working on, in Emily's case, this outline, and you go, well, I don't want people to even see that it's empty yet. I just want them to see the syllabus without gaining access to any content or a lack of content. You could very easily say, well, it's September 12th. I'm going to open this up for pre-sale right now, but I don't want the course to be open to people until November 15th. It's totally acceptable. And then that gives you from now until November 15th to get your act together and start getting some lessons in there. The other thing you can do is you could say, I'm going to drip this course. So it's going to open November 15th, and I'm going to give them access to the first 3 lessons as soon as it opens. And then each lesson after that will drip 7 days later. And what that does is it gives you that extended period to keep developing and tweaking your content so that you can make it right before they get access to it. But to Emily's point, it also puts that fire under your butt to get it done. Like, I've promised people I'll get this done. I got to get this done. Even if you got in there and made a video that said, hey, I might update this later, but this is the content for this lesson as it is now. I promised I'd have this for you, and here it is. I think there's a certain value to, there's a phrase that we see in X a lot with different WordPress developers. They'll say, hashtag build in public. There's a certain value in the course builder space that comes from building in public and allowing your user base to see that this is very real world and very up to the minute. There's a certain value to that sometimes can help grow your community and make things kind of pop a little bit better. I do want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Adam Silver. We know Adam Silver as, well, I know Adam Silver as runadam.run. runadam.run. He's one of these endurance runners, but apparently he's in Scotland today. So he's in a whole different time zone. That means it's late enough for him to, I'm just going to say, take a nap because he's probably running tomorrow. There we go. And even, see, I didn't even mention adult beverages. All right. David Carruthers. David Carruthers is with us today. He's got a question. I'm going to pass this one to you, Emily. I'm new, about to start with the Universe Bundle. So what do you suggest I do first to get moving? I find this interesting. There's so many questions, like, so where are you at in your journey? But I'll leave this to you, Emily. How do you want to address this? What would you do first for a new customer getting started with the Universe Bundle?
Yeah, I guess, let me see if I can go to a demo site here. I'm learning how to use my Firefox browser to share my screen. Can you see my WordPress backend?
Let me see. Yep.
Cool. So my recommendation, if you've just picked up the Universe Bundle, and what you want to do first is probably just figure out how you can get an environment where you can install your bundle on. If you don't already have a domain, if you don't already have hosting, I would recommend checking those out. If you do already have a domain and do already have hosting and you have those connected, you can create these WordPress environments. Then I'd recommend installing your license key from your LifterLMS account on your environment. And what that'll do is when you go to the back end of your WordPress install, we'll go to LifterLMS add-ons and more, and let us know if you're not at the point where you have a domain yet, or you're not at the point where you have a hosting for your WordPress website. I'm going to assume you do already have that. But once you're there, you install the LifterLMS free core plugin. You can find it in your account, or you can find it on the back end of WordPress under plugins, add new LifterLMS. Either way, there's a core LifterLMS plugin. It should be at the top of downloads in your account. And then there's this add-ons and more section that has a license key area. That's where you'll put your Universe Bundle license key, or any license key that you pick up in the future. You'll drop it in there, click add new, and then that will give you access to the products. It'll actually narrow it down for you right here of which products you have access to from your bundle, making it easy to install payment gateways and stuff like that. And then you could follow our tutorials for how to set up Stripe or PayPal or WP Forms or whatever add-ons from the Universe Bundle you want to configure. You can check out our tutorials and it'll show you how to install, enable, and edit any of those ones from here. But adding that license key will give you access to the products, and then each of those individual products has their own set of tutorials. If you want to set up a Ninja Forms with LifterLMS, like I have on this website, you'll want the Ninja Forms integration, and we have tutorials about how to set that all up. And then, of course, you could get into the core plugin stuff like the courses and memberships. And if you're a little overwhelmed by all of the settings over here on this left-hand side, we do have a LifterLMS Quick Start course in our academy, academy.lifterlms.com. If you at any point are overwhelmed by what you're looking at there, we have, it's that one, the Quick Start course for the community. This one's a great place to get started if you want to. You'll probably want to start on this second section here, create your course, name your course, add a course image and description. That'll walk you through the basics of the LifterLMS core. And then also, we have guides about how to build certificates, how to build email engagements and stuff like that. But I would check out the Academy in addition to installing your license key. That's probably the first place that I would go for Universe.
Nice. To me, when I think about getting started, I want to say this in a nice way. So many people that I work with have zero content, zero course material written. They might have an idea of an outline, but they haven't really written it down. They're like, oh, it's all up here. And I find that like the getting started thing is, and I used to be guilty of this. Like I used to just sign into a blank URL and start building a website on a blank page. And I found that I'd spend an awful lot of time doinking around with settings and moving things around. When I got this, I hate to be plugging this all the time, but I got this remarkable tablet that you can draw on kind of thing. And when I made the Power Sport Academy website, that was really one of the first times where I was like, before I start just moving stuff around on a screen, let's draw out what I think would be the right pathway for content for a user to see. So I'm going to want my navigation. I'm going to want my call to action. Here's where my hero is going to be. Do I want a full thing hero, or do I want like a heading and a photo as that hero set? And then, so that was the first time I really drew it out. And then when I went to make the site, it was amazing how much easier and more productive I was in that space. And I noticed that when I had worked for organized clients in the past that said, oh, here's a Figma file of what I think the website should look like, or here are 3 websites I like, and I like this format. I noticed that when I have those guidelines, things go much more quickly and I get less frustrated in the actual website build. So when I think about people with courses and the course creator mindset from an entrepreneur of like, this is your first web project and you come into Lifter, any kind of learning management system is more complicated than a plain WordPress site. So I think having kind of a game plan before you play around with the site, before you play around with design, before you put your curriculum in, I think it's best to kind of sit and kind of sketch out, what kind of format or what kind of websites do I use that I like. For instance, and I'm just speaking off the cuff here, I had a client, very design minded, and he kept referring me back to Amazon, right? Because he had like this e-commerce focus. And he was like, well, I just, think about how Amazon does it. Think about how Amazon does it. And so I kept going back to the Amazon website and I was like, what in the world is he talking about? This website's horrible. From a design standpoint, I'm like, this website is horrible. But then it was like tons and tons and tons of content, tons and tons and tons of recommendations. Someone that like this also like these 6 things. Someone like this also like these 3 things. If you bought this, did you want to buy these 2 things? And I was like, so is that what the client wants, or do they actually think this website looks good? And so then having that conversation is super important, because then you're like, okay, do you have that level of content? Do you have that level of traffic? Are you able to recommend 6 other products for 1 product sold? And if that answer is no, I don't, well, then it's like, well, then don't use that as your guideline. Find something that matches more of your use case and then sketch it out. And then when you go into the site to create it and you have an idea of what you want to do, I think it goes much, much better. I might have gone crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Jim Hankins. I'm going to call Jim Hankins. I'm going to go out on a limb here. And oh, hold on. We've got a bunch of things in here because I want to follow up with David. It looks like David went kind of crazy in our chat after we started talking about him. So he says, thanks. I've been using Elementor with other WordPress sites, but I haven't used Lifter before. Elementor's a great page builder tool. So you're good there, right? So if you're familiar with all that crud I just said about designing a page, I guess you can forget about all that stuff I just said. And then haven't used Lifter before. The main thing with Lifter, I think, is understanding. The first time someone actually verbally said to me, everything in WordPress is either a post or a page, it was like, bing, a light went off. And so knowing that Lifter is working with custom post types to inject courses, memberships, and lessons into your WordPress website, once that becomes a reality for you in the space, it gets to be a little more, I don't want to say common sense because that's an insulting term, but I think it becomes more understood that you're creating custom post types through like the course builder, and then you're just filling in the gaps with content through the WordPress editor. So I think the main thing of using Lifter is not being scared to open up that course builder and start laying out your sections and your lessons, and then taking a look at what you've kind of structured, and then working your way back through the WordPress editor and filling in the gaps with content. All right. And he says, I've got you guys booked on my schedule for the next few weeks. Not a problem. It's, you know what? We love having people that come back, because then we get to see them grow over time and see what they've done. So you got a content for coaching clients. It's just for them. You'll have a course that you sell without coaching. Any quick thoughts to steer me on the use of memberships versus course for access? This content will be the same for both. David, it sounds like you're stumbling directly into a pricing structure that is one of my favorites. And I know that Chris with LifterLMS feels the same way. And that's the 3-tiered pricing structure, the good, better, best. Using the same content for a good, better, best pricing structure through different levels of membership is a wonderful way to generate revenue. For instance, I have a training product in my portfolio where people can access the training material for $700, and they can have access to that material for the rest of their lives. I don't care. For $700, you can have access to these 6 courses, and it's yours. That membership, you get it, it's yours. As long as I'm alive and that website's kicking, you can go in there and take that content whenever you want, right? So that's one level. That's the good level. The better level is single training. So that is individuals can come in, they get access to the course for a year, and they also get monthly coaching with me, right? So that one-on-one monthly coaching time is important. And I sell that at a monthly rate that is higher than the $700 for the good rate, just to give you an idea there, right? So I am more than 12xing my revenue because I'm including coaching and one-on-one access to me. Okay. And then I have another package that's an enterprise program where a company can buy that same training for their whole team. Okay. So now instead of training one individual and giving them monthly coaching, I'm saying, look, I'll train your whole team, and we'll give that team a monthly coaching session. And that team will have the benefit of peer-to-peer communication in those monthly coaching sessions, almost like a monthly mastermind. And if you know what a professional mastermind costs, you're starting to recognize, well, that's probably the best platform. And that best platform is a 4x of the better plan. So I have a good, better, and a best. Now, how many clients do I have on the best plan? Not many. It's super expensive, but it's there. So I have the good, the better, and the best, all using the same root piece of content. That's one good way to do that. Emily, how do you feel about anything I just said there?
Yeah, I think having multiple pricing levels for people who want to approach your business from different budget standpoints is good. Like, I'm doing something similar where I have free videos on YouTube. I have PDF download lead magnets, individual courses that can be purchased in membership, and that's like a recurring thing, and then ongoing consulting. So it is a similar model where I have a couple items top of funnel that are free, but then as far as the paid funnel, there's the courses, the membership, and then the one-on-one coaching. So it's like good if you want to just learn a skill with a course, better if you want to join the recurring membership, get access to the community, and then best if you want to work with me one-on-one in addition to those other things to get your course site launched. So that's kind of how I approach it. So it's the same.
Yeah. And David brings up a good point here. He said, one-on-one coaching is where I'm heading. I'm also aiming for enterprise, but I think I need the group add-on. Do you need the group add-on? You can always find a workaround around the group add-on, but I do find the group add-on to be extremely useful from an administrative perspective, because what'll happen is when I sell one of these enterprise training clients, 10 seats, I basically award that group the 10 seats. I assign that group to a group leader, which would be who made the purchase for that enterprise organization. And then that group leader has front-end access to reporting that shows, if their students are active and if their students are participating and what their grades might be, if there's anything that's graded. And so to me, the group feature with LifterLMS has become invaluable over the last couple of years. I use it quite extensively, and I find it really good because I think what you're going to pick up on when I mentioned all those pricing strategies is access to me is the premium. As a business person, my time is the most valuable thing that I have. And so I have to be very guarded about how I spend my time. And if someone is buying a training product that's evergreen that I already made, that's low value, right? Because I'm not personally invested in the time every time someone looks at it. It's evergreen. I already made it. It's done. It's work that is continuing to create revenue, in the forever cycle. If we say that out loud, that makes us sound naive, but I don't have to mess with it consistently, right? But if they buy something that has one-on-one training or group training, that becomes mentally and physically taxing on an ongoing rate for me. So I have to dedicate that time and schedule to it. And more than that, it's that energy. I'm not just coming on and babysitting a live call. I've got to come to that call with a certain vibrance, a certain energy, and a certain knowledge base, and a certain sense of leadership that I keep that group inspired to keep making progress, right? And so when you are selling from that perspective, I think it's super important to recognize the value that your personal time and effort brings to the table. And as long as you recognize that you got to come, ready to supply that, it's worth every dollar that you charge for it. So that's where I'm at with that. David, it's great to have you. And I know we'll see you for the next few weeks. So it says you're loving the conversation. Awesome. We're glad we're here to help. You want to have a paid masterclass, 90 minutes. Does it sit separately inside Lifter? It can. You could sell a 90-minute masterclass as a membership, right? And then on that membership page, you could have a link to a Zoom meeting or a link to, knowing that the only people that can get to it are members, right? Because you could use, if you're using the membership restriction tools in LifterLMS, you could say, I only want enrolled members to see this content, being that link to the Zoom thing. The other thing you can do is you can integrate Zoom directly into your website and put that into any page that you want. And then you can say, oh, come to the masterclass at my website, abc.com/live session, or whatever you call it. And they could click that and the Zoom would actually be right in the website. I use that tool quite a bit. And I think it adds a premium experience to your users to come to your website to attend a live meeting. I think that's really cool. So yeah, you can absolutely sell that access directly through Lifter. You can use the native payment gateway to orchestrate that for yourself. And even better, if you had an integrated CRM tool, customer resource management tool, you would be able to add people in your masterclass to a specific email list and give them, customized messaging and all kinds of stuff in that way as well. Remember, LifterLMS has certain notifications and engagements, and you can leverage that to an extent. But when you're running something like a masterclass or a, live session or something like that, and you want to be in communication with them via email, having a CRM tool integrated with the platform is a big add. That works really, really well. I'm going to jump back up the list a little bit. Friend of the show, I'm going to call him a friend. He's fairly new. I believe he's on the Infinity Bundle. Jim Hankins. I have seen Jim on just about every channel LifterLMS has. So welcome to the call, Jim. It says, we want to get notified of membership enrollments and group membership enrollments in prep for that new exciting feature on groups with e-commerce. Gee, Jim, thanks for putting up the pressure for us on the live call here. A beta was tested at LifterLMS last week, and Chris, the owner of LifterLMS, posted publicly that the beta of groups had been tested by him or seen by him, and he was very excited about it. Newsflash, I haven't seen it yet. Emily, have you?
No.
Okay, so before we start talking about Groups 2.0 or whatever they're going to call it, neither of us have seen it or experienced it yet, but it is a cool thing to think about. So I'm kind of excited to see what it does, because I've already given up the ghost that I use groups already quite extensively. And if there's a way for me to automate groups more, then I think, I'm in no matter what. But it says, which events do we hook into for this? So if we were to think about notification for memberships and groups, I'm not sure if there's a notification for groups. You could double check me, Emily, in the back end, but notifications, if someone joins a membership, there's a notification for that, and you can add yourself to that notification list, right? So you could definitely just use the standard LifterLMS notification for that, add yourself to it, be copied on it. My question was with groups. I wasn't sure if there was a groups connection. Were you aware of that?
There's not. You mean like for notifications specifically?
Yeah, engagements and notifications. I know there's one for,
No.
enrolling in a membership, but I didn't know if there was one for enrolling in a group, because the group, the way it's set up now is, and again, this might change with Groups 2.0, I don't know, but notification, the way groups works now is it's still a manual process, right? You would set up that group, so there's not a notification for it because you were setting it up manually.
Yeah, and you could do, if you were to clone a membership and include that membership within your group, or have a membership that has a couple of courses within it, you could say when someone enrolls to that membership, they get notifications.
Yeah, well, that's true, because if you auto-enrolled a course with the group, the enrollment in the course would send the notification anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it from that perspective. And that is, let me go right in. I'm going to screen share this. Jim uses LifterLMS in a unique use case, so I don't know if this applies to him or not. But in a standard LifterLMS setup, you would, and this is my own website, so bear with me. I'm not on a demo site right now. But if we go down to LifterLMS settings, and we take a look at settings, across the horizontal menu, we have, general courses, memberships, accounts. Notifications is near the end. We click on notifications, and this is a list of all of the notifications that LifterLMS kind of automates. Basic is when it gives us that notification at the top right of our screen, and it just runs vertical. So you'll see like a pop-up that'll show up that'll say, achievement earned, certificate earned, course completed, whatever. That pops up there. The ones that have email have the basic notification and the email. So here's one for enrollments. And if we were to open up email to edit that, we're going to see that we can customize this email. We can put whatever we want into the body of this email. We can also use the different merge codes. So we could say, student's name. I'm just going to mess up my whole thing, and the title, and we could just put all kinds of stuff in there. So And of course, we can take it right back out. Where I was talking about adding recipients in is you could send that message directly to the author, or you can send it to additional recipients, and you can add in, any kind of email that you want down here at the bottom at gmail.com, right? And so if I add that in there, that's who's going to get that messaging. And then if I were to save those changes, anytime an enrollment came through, sample@gmail would be copied on that notification. So that's one way to very simply using the existing tools out of the box to get a notification of new enrollments. The other side of the coin is I know that Jim uses LifterLMS in a different way. It's like kind of like an add-on to an existing platform. And so Jim, you may be looking more for, hey, what's the API for that, or where do I find the code for that? And in LifterLMS, we've got that resource for the REST API, and I think that might put you in a good direction. Let me grab a link for that. Let's API references, and I'm going to put that link directly into our chat. You might already have this link. This is different than the getting started with the REST API. This is right to the resources of the API, and I'll throw that up on the screen for people that want to see it there as well. The developer.lifterlms.com, that kind of root subdomain, if I were to call it that, I don't know if that's a real term, but developer.lifterlms.com is kind of a different view of LifterLMS, right? That's not the marketing and sales side of LifterLMS. That's the, hey, I'd really like to, look under the hood of LifterLMS. That's a great way to get started. Emily, any feedback?
Not really. I think that's a good point. If you're looking for a specific hook, I think if you're not already in the LifterLMS Slack, the public Slack, that's the best place to get into. Trying to see, I'm not sure exactly, just off the top of my head what that hook is. Say I need the hook. I'm firing a webhook off an enrollment.
I am so old that I immediately thought of Dr. Hook.
I don't know if there's a general, you just enroll in anything. I think it's you have to have some kind of event listener that goes off of enrollments in something specific. I haven't really dug through here in a minute. I haven't done that kind of custom development before, but I'm just looking through the developer site. Form field, form args. It could be you could also do general user registration items from the WordPress core. I don't know, that requires a little bit deeper of digging, and I'd recommend getting involved in that Slack channel for some more advanced developer questions. It might be registration action.
I am not super big on custom development in my personal projects, but sometimes when I've had questions and I don't want to bother the team at Lifter internally, sidebar, I very rarely bother the team internally at Lifter. I feel like I'm taking advantage of a situation when I do. I try the Slack channel or the Facebook page, and I'm amazed at how many people come to help. It's a really strong community.
Yeah, definitely. Handles submission of user registration forms. A lot of the user registration items handle submission of forms. Controller registration register. Public function. Love verify nots. I'm just mumbling to myself while I read the developer docs. Before new user registration, already logged in.
I think Jim feels bad. He's like, oh, I'm busting it on other people. He says, I'll find it. No worries. Cool. And it looks like we're going to see him on office hours too. So that'll be good. For those of you that don't know what office hours is, we do this Ask Me Anything call. It's open to the public. We host it here on StreamYard so that we can do things through chat and not have to worry about Zoom bombers, putting up cartoon porn in the middle of our live presentation. So that works very well for this purpose, open to the public. Once you have the Infinity Bundle or the Universe Bundle, you get a special invitation to come and join us. You register for a call that we hold on Zoom, and then we're all face-to-face having live verbal conversations with screen shares and problem solving and talking about marketing and all kinds of cool things. So in case you're wondering, what are the benefits of being a member inside LifterLMS? That's one of those things. Every Thursday we get together, we do the Ask Me Anything call at this time. Then there's an hour break and we jump into another live where we do this office hours kind of mastermind call. So yeah, we will see Jim on that. And if we jump back to good old Dave here, he's got another thing coming, right? So it says, with your email example for Jim, am I able to integrate ConvertKit there to send emails and to manage tags too, so I can easily email those enrolled? There is a ConvertKit integration with LifterLMS. And so I think I have that link right here. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Boom. Save that. So David, if you are still with us, I'm going to put up the resource for the ConvertKit. So there we go, right there, getting started, LifterLMS and ConvertKit. So there is that integration with ConvertKit. And then you may find that it does exactly what you want it to do, but you may find for certain things, you may still need to do like a Zapier or an Automator WP or something if you want to get like really finite on certain activities within the site and some tagging or activating or automating something in the CRM. Most people that I know that have integrated the ConvertKit with Lifter, from my experience on the office hours calls and from working on some of the support tickets with Lifter, have been very happy with that integration. So that is something you probably definitely want to take a look at and take a stab at integrating and seeing if it can meet your needs. I personally, and I'm just going to throw this out there, we have a page called recommended resources. So when I say I personally use, if it's on recommended resources, I kind of say it guilt-free. But sometimes I'll give up the ghost and use a tool that's not on the list. But in our recommended resources page at LifterLMS, Fluent CRM is listed. And if you have Fluent CRM Pro, the integration with that to me is the easiest in the world because it's automatic. It comes from the Fluent side of the table. So if you have LifterLMS and you install Fluent CRM Pro, it says, do you want to integrate with LifterLMS? Hey, we see you with LifterLMS. Do you want to integrate? You say yes. And then it says, do you want to add the LifterLMS users to Fluent CRM? You say yes. And then you can do all kinds of automations and tagging and all kinds of things integrated directly with Lifter. And that's been my favorite integration so far for a CRM tool. I've also had good success with Groundhog personally. Sendinblue, which is now called something else. Sendinblue is now called Brevo, I believe, Brevo. I've used that less successfully, but it was successful to make the integration. And like I said, I haven't had any clients complain to me about the ConvertKit integration. So I think if you are happy with ConvertKit, you'll probably be very pleased with the integration. And David's like, I thought this was office hours. So maybe we'll see David again at, what is that? 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock if you're on the East Coast.
Yeah, I haven't. Oh yeah, our office hour starts in like an hour 15 from now. I was looking this up. I think it might be LMS generator new user. This is the one to like hook into when new user is being created, but I'm just scrolling through. Not completely sure. I'd have to like test all this out. I've always used like whatever automations I'm using to create the new user. I use that automation to perform other actions after creating a new user. I don't like wait to see like, oh, did new user get created, then trigger something else. But I don't know what the use case is. Because if it's like create a user, then send an email to that person, I would have whatever automation tool handling it say like create user, send email, rather than create user, separate automation sees create user, then sends email. Like it's two automations. I don't know.
All righty.
Whatever it's doing.
Well, I just took a dive over to the pre-enrollment. Is that what I want to say? Pre-enrollment for the session to see if there were any pre-listed questions, and there were no pre-listed questions. And we've done a really good job of working through the folks that have participated in the call so far. I do want to give a shout out to Daria. She did jump back and say thank you very much. It's always super cool when someone shows up, takes the time out of their day, shows up to our live call, right, on our schedule, and in real time asks a question or participate. So Daria, thanks for being here, and you are very much welcome. That was the one where she said, do I lose any data going from the free version to the paid version? So super important to know that no, you do not. It just goes straight across. And then it looks like everything else is handled in here. So is there anything you can think of that we probably need to cover or take a look at?
I don't think so. I mean, we talked about the new stuff last week. We're previewing the new LifterLMS group stuff with what Chris said, and we'll hopefully have a preview of that upcoming. That's really all the Lifter updates. We could re-review what we talked about last week. There's like a new certificate share button that makes sharing certificates in LifterLMS easier than it was before. There was it the only new thing last week? I don't remember. We're creating more tutorials about how to use custom code. We have a new set of Feature Fridays planned out, and yeah, we're just rolling on the content pipeline and have a few projects in development during this cycle, including social learning groups, and we had that certificates update rollout. So, and Stripe Connect, that was a big one. Stripe Connect is now released. We're going to be talking about that next week. So API key-less integration. You used to have to get API keys in order to do your integrations, but now you don't need that. You do Stripe Connect. It's a more secure way to connect than API keys, and it's going to become a new standard. So LifterLMS is now integrated.
Not for nothing, I want to be like, I don't want to talk smack about Stripe. I've been using Stripe for a long time, so I really don't want to be like, oh, Stripe left me hanging. It's not from that perspective. I've had a couple of clients get an email from Stripe that said, you must roll over your API keys or we're going to disable your site. And when they got that email, they thought it was a phishing email and ignored it. And then sure enough, days later, none of their, automations, none of the recurring fees, nothing was going through. And that's when the panic starts, right? That's when people start running to you and go, oh my God, my website's broke. Your website's not broke. Stripe flat out told you they were going to disconnect your account for a security measure and that you had to roll over your API key. And that means basically ask for a new API key, go into your website, and then reconnect your website to Stripe. That is not a LifterLMS problem. That is a payment gateway security issue. And so the idea of Stripe being in charge of that in the background, and you just basically sign in kind of OAuth and let them take care of it, and you connect the site that way. I'm hugely looking forward to that Stripe Connect and taking out that API kind of obstacle, because I find that for some course creator, individual website owners, some of that can just be confusing, right? Like you want to make the connection, you just want it to work. You don't understand that something could happen down the road to make it not work, and then how to fix it readily without hitting that panic button. And so I'm glad to see them go in that direction. The other thing that I put on the screen was to answer a question that I've been seeing a lot lately, and that is we do have a trial. It's $1 for 30 days. We host it for you, and it's a fully populated, demo site experience. I'm getting a question in our support. I get a question in our support some, and I've had people actually email me directly or message me directly through Facebook Messenger this very question, and that is, can we add our own plugins to the demo site? That demo site, it's like yours. It's yours for the 30 days. And so, yeah, you can add plugins to that. You can configure things. You can turn things off. You can turn things on. You can take things out. You can put content in. You can export content. You can do all kinds of stuff with that demo site because, we're hosting it for you as a demo to see how it would fit your use case. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I want to try and plug this in with my CRM tool, or I want to plug this in with my whatever, you can add plugins to it and experiment with it. If you're on a licensed plugin, my only advice to you is to remember to go back to the licensing page of that plugin and take the demo out when you're done with it, because you probably only have so many sites that you can add that plugin to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. We got some stuff here. Here we go. Catherine Law has joined the call. Shout out to you, Catherine. Good to see you. It says, hey there, ask me anything. I just hopped on. All right. What are the pros and cons of the lifetime bundle versus renting it through a monthly service? Well, that's kind of a catch-22 there, Catherine. If you are renting through a monthly service, and let's just make an assumption that it's like a source like WP Tonic or some other kind of hosting source where you get access to LifterLMS through that hosting source. There are some benefits to going directly through LifterLMS. One is you get access to LifterLMS support directly if you're a customer of LifterLMS directly. So that would mean instead of just the Ask Me Anything call, you would get to come to the office hours call. You would network with other experts on a global basis that attend the Zoom calls with us. You would be able to, if you were developing your own website, you would be able to access LifterLMS support directly instead of through your hosting source, vendor source, partner source, however you want to use that. I say this in very broad strokes. For example, I have an agency called Mañana No Mas, and this is not a plug for Mañana No Mas. This is just an example. If I create a website for a customer and I use my agency license to give them access to LifterLMS, if they have a problem with that website 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road, they don't have the ability to go to LifterLMS directly and say, I'm having a problem with such and such and I need you to help me. What's going to happen is their support team at Lifter is going to say, hey, your email address doesn't line up with any of our packages for paid support. And then they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, I'm having this problem. I'll say, yeah, I'm your support. Like I thought I made that clear. I'm your support. And so that's kind of how that works. So there is an advantage of saying, hey, I could do that. Now, the other advantage comes strictly down to money, because you asked the lifetime question. And that to me is the big ding, ding, ding. The lifetime question is it worth $1,500, or is it still on sale for 50% off?
Yeah.
All right. So $750. Is it worth $750 to know that you would never have to worry about where your site is hosted, or having access to support with LifterLMS for as long as you have a learning site, or any of those things? Like, part of the glory of being in WordPress is that you can take that website and move it to any host that you want. Just for an example, Mañana No Mas has sampled 4 or 5 different hosts in the last half a decade. So being able to take a website and, let's say, go from Cloudways to 20i, or from 20i to Bluehost. I can't believe I do that. Go from Bluehost to GoDaddy. I wouldn't do that either. Gosh, all these situations. Anyway, I have the ability to move these products wherever I want to move them. I can host them wherever I want to host them. And if I own the software, meaning if I bought a lifetime license to it, I don't have to worry about some kind of support line or tether to an existing vendor, right? I can just move it. So you really want to analyze your situation. If you're happy with your vendor and you're happy with the way things are going and you want to stay where you're at, I wouldn't worry about it. Especially if it's something that's included in something you would pay for anyway. Like if it's included as part of the hosting, or included as part of the website build, or included as part of a maintenance package that you already know you're going to pay for forever anyway. If it's included, I wouldn't worry about it. If you were buying it from a vendor that was marking the price up or selling it to you and not making it part of a package that's already including services, then I would strongly consider maybe buying it. There is an advantage to that lifetime plan. And again, that is, it's yours, it's forever. You can move your site wherever you want to. It's also good for any number of websites. So if you have an idea of like, I'm going to build 20 different projects over the next 10 years, then having that Infinity license and being able to put it on any number of websites becomes a huge advantage. For instance, again, with my agency, I can put that license on as many websites as I want. And so as I work with my customers and provide support to all of those customers, it was the right economical decision for me.
Yeah, and Catherine asked in chat, is the Infinity bundle the same as the lifetime bundle? And so the lifetime deal is only for the Infinity bundle. It's like, I don't know what this math is. If the Infinity bundle is $750 for your first year and then $1,500 for the next 2 years, it's like 3-4 years up front if for a lifetime license. So this is the Infinity bundle that you'll find on our pricing page. It's just on a lifetime basis. So the Infinity bundle on the pricing page, this is a different page. This is /lifetime. If I go to /pricing, I'll find this is going to be the annual setup for the Infinity bundle, which is all the add-ons we include. And then that lifetime deal is all the add-ons we include on a lifetime basis. And I think it includes like 3 years of support or something like that. Kurt had mentioned support's important there. So that's important to know.
Support to me is a big, big thing. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm a pretty independent person. I think Emily will back me up on this one. As a customer, I was not a common email to be seen in the LifterLMS support channels. The documentation for Lifter was so strong, and the support for like YouTube tutorials was so strong. I didn't really feel the need to jump into support. I would try and find the answer. But what I've learned over time, running an agency, is I need to be more willing to ask for help earlier in the process. And I've come to understand that having access to smart people and people in a network for support is a huge benefit to being productive and efficient with my time. So yeah, I've come to think of support as being a very necessary thing. So either your support is going to come from the vendor that you're getting access to Lifter with, or it's going to come from Lifter directly. So now the question is, do you have confidence in the vendor that you've used to gain access to Lifter, or do you feel that you would get better support from Lifter directly? And that of course is a question that only you can answer and put a dollar amount to. So I think Catherine is pretty aggressive here. I'm going to build over 100 sites in the next 2 years. Catherine, you're going to outpace me. That's a lot of websites, but I could see a use case, and I've been through this before. A multi-site is different than a website. So multi-site is an example where, let's say you have one main site that has most of your main content in it, but then you take some of that content and you repeat it for specific customers that get their own website through your portal. Like you automate the issuance of a new website through your main site. That's a multi-site situation. And so a multi-site could generate hundreds of websites, as people sign up or subscribe and things like that. That's a really cool way to think about things. So I could see that happening. Well, Emily, here we are again. I'm still talking, and we've come up at the top of the hour. I need to put the 55% off coupon in here, make that official. Folks, we started out the show with it. We're going to end the show with it. If you like what you hear and you're interested in trying out LifterLMS, new purchases are eligible for 55% off coupon. Go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. Again, that is lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. With the 30 or 40 seconds we've got left here, Emily, how can people reach you if they want to?
I would Google Magic Emily Middleton, or just go to WP Course Guide on YouTube. That's how you can find my tutorials on LifterLMS. How about you, Kurt?
Fantastic. For me, if it's business related, you can hook up with me at anything Mañana No Mas. MañanaNomas.com, Mañana No Mas on Twitter, Mañana No Mas on Instagram, whatever. Mañana No Mas leads to me. The other thing is, if you want to reach me personally and kind of make that kind of, connection on LinkedIn, business to business connection. I'm the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn, so it makes it really easy to find me and know that you've got the right one. So with that, folks, we are going to sign out, and we will see you next week.